So we are looking at a 1981 Bryan boiler, and right here I'm going to show you what these Mercury switches look like up close and personal if you haven't ever seen them. Now these are currently hooked up, and they're hooked up to a float that is in behind this. As the water raises, it will raise that float up and it will control this Mercury switch over here on the left, and the one on the right is for the flame on this particular boiler. But if you look at the Mercury switches, the one right here on the left only has 2 wires on it, 2 points of contact. The one that is on the right side has 4 different wires on it. Now essentially this thing functions together, and they got to be in line just right in order to control the sight glass and the flame on this thing. And whenever the float basically goes down to take water, as it lowers down, this Mercury switch right here, the mercury inside of it will flow to the back side, and it will land on these 2 wires right here, completing the circuit, giving it contact, which in turn turns the actual water pump on. As the water flows through it and raises that float upright, it will slowly move the mercury away from those 2 wires, cutting it off. Now the way it functions with this one is, as you can see, this one is currently off, the pump is not running or anything, and the mercury on this one is settled down on the back side too, and this is cutting it off once that is off. Now whenever it's leaning this way, it's letting it know it's taking water. It is going to turn this on, turn the flame, or I'm sorry, the flame off as it's taking water. And as it comes back to rest right here, these 2 wires right here will actually turn it on. I was looking at it backwards there, sorry about that. And which is this wire right here, and it's got this other lower wire right down here that runs with it. Now essentially they're on this back side, so one's hot and neutral. These 2 hots are running together. It runs to the front and the back side. That way it's going to let you know one way or the other. And then the neutral wire right here, it's got 2 separate wires on it. It's got the one on the back side and the one on the front side. That way it lets it run to the proper wires that it's supposed to go into to let it know when to turn the flame on or turn the flame off, depending on which direction it's going in. So you got to set this up with these little adjustment screws right here. And these adjustment screws will essentially let you balance it out to where you get the proper water inside of your tube, and it lets the flame turn on and off the boiler as you see fit, which all depends on, you know, how many pounds of pressure you want to have on this thing. But that's essentially how these Mercury switches function together as they operate. As you can see right there, it just kicked on a little bit in order to kick it off. As soon as it raises forward here, it will kick off. Now we will sit and watch. This is currently turned off. It's raising the water up in it. We need to turn our valve back off, draining the boiler down. That way it lets it fill this up. As you can see, the float on this, after I let the water out of it, it reared it back, and it completed the circuit by letting the mercury go into the back where the wires are. And as it fills this up, it will slowly push this mercury forward. Now, had we had this thing running right now to where it would be taking the flame on and off, once it gets filled up, this will boom forward here, and it will complete the circuit on this side, letting it ignite the flame and heat up the water that's inside. Now, as it runs down, as the water evaporates in the actual system, it will start losing water, and that's whenever it booms forward. It'll cut it off once it completes the circuit there, and of course it'll start filling up like it is right here. And as you can see right now, it is slowly going to rise to where we want the water level at, and then we will be back in business. But that is essentially how the 2 Mercury switches function on a 1981 Bryan boiler.